Hey, this is Moa Smokes, and it's finally time to talk about how to clean your XKAH. So a few of you have been asking about this video, and I've been promising it for a while now, and it's finally here. Basically, you're gonna see me between scenes, but otherwise, you're just gonna see the cleaning, because that's the most important part. If you go down to the description, there's gonna be chapter markers where you can jump to specific scenes. So for instance, if you just care about how to clean your bowl, if you want to know how to take out the silicone ring, you can jump directly to that. We're gonna start with a topic that comes up a lot. And that topic is, what do I do when I put the battery into the XKAH and the XKAH doesn't turn on? So what I have in front of me are two batteries, one that's super clean and one that has been through the ringer and hasn't really been cleaned often. So I have an XKAH here and I'm just gonna put this battery in. Nothing's happening. I hit the button in the middle 5 times because that's the first thing you should do if it doesn't turn on. And still nothing's happening. Weird, okay. Now, if you take this out and you put another battery in, for instance, the one that's clean, it starts right away. And the menu is fully operational, as you can see. Now, let's go back to this one that's dirty. There's a couple of things you can do to have a battery that is dirty start working again. The first thing you can do is take a Q-tip, put some alcohol on it, so wipe this off, clean it up really well, and then just let it dry. Once it's fully dry, try it in the XKAH again and see if that works. The other thing is, I'm a little bit older than some of you, so I grew up in the era where if video game cartridges didn't work, I don't even know if you know what video game cartridges are, but like, I'm dating myself here. Basically what you do is take the game out and then put it back in and it works. And that actually just worked with the battery that wasn't clean. Now, if you go here and these buttons for whatever reason are not working, you can also try that trick. You can clean the battery or you can do what I just did with the video game cartridge thing and it works again. And yeah, so that's the first topic. What's up, Gotham? What do I do if my XKAH starts leaking molasses from the sides? That comes up pretty often, and if you see this, don't panic. There's nothing wrong with your XKAH. Basically what's happening is there's an excess of molasses that's building up above the bowl, and it doesn't really have anywhere to go, so it escapes through the vents on the back of the XKAH. So if that happens, just grab a paper towel, wipe it down. If you're done using the XKAH, you can actually put it to the side, shake it gently, the excess molasses will fall off, and then you just wipe it down. The next thing we're gonna talk about is how to clean your bowl. So a lot of people don't know this, but the mesh inside the bowl is actually removable. So all you have to do is grab a poker or something pointy, put it into the mesh, and then pop it out like you're chucking oysters. We're gonna grab one of the bowls that we had just in the water. So there you can see the molasses still in there, the tobacco still in there. You're gonna rinse the lid of the bowl, and then you're just gonna dump the bowl. So here I'm just gonna tap, tap, tap. All right, the tobacco dropped. Look at that puck, beautiful. All right, let me throw that away, we don't need that. All right, back to the bowl. We're gonna rinse the bowl, rinse the lid, put the lid to the side for now, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab a poker, and then with the poker, we're just gonna poke it into the mesh and pop the mesh right out. Here we're gonna rinse the mesh, we're gonna rinse the bowl, and then we're actually gonna start with the bowl. Well, I'll show you how to clean the mesh in a second, but we'll put the mesh to the side for now. And then grab that bowl, grab the dish sponge again, and then just clean the bowl. So here I'm cleaning the bowl without mesh in it, so that means I can clean the bottom of the bowl, the sides of the bowl, all that. Rinse it, and then you want to make sure here that your bowl is completely clean. If there's any lingering molasses or any kind of baked on anything, you want to make sure that's off of your bowl. You don't want to smoke a fresh bowl with that old stuff in there. So here I cleaned it, I'm rinsing it out, and it looks pretty good. There's a little spot right there. I'm going to try to get that again with the dish sponge. You don't have to worry about it if you don't get all of it, because the next step is actually going to get all of it. And so here I'm just cleaning it again, looking at the bowl, it's getting cleaner and cleaner. Rinse it out one more time just to see what's left. And then here I'm going to grab a brush. So what the brush is going to do is it's going to get rid of any baked on molasses. So here I'm using the back of this brush. The link for the brush is in the description. I actually have a whole list on Amazon of all the stuff that I use to clean the XKAH thoroughly. So here I'm just cleaning out the bowl with the brush. I'm getting the sides, I'm getting the bottoms, and rinsing it out. And then if you look at the bowl is spotless now. Like, it looks like a brand new bowl. All right, now I'm gonna grab the mesh, and I'm just gonna brush the mesh to make sure that there's no baked on tobacco or molasses or shisha, whatever you wanna call it. And I'm just cleaning it out thoroughly so that the mesh is clean too. I do the front of the mesh, I do the back of the mesh, I do the sides of the mesh until it's silver again, because you don't want, again, baked on molasses. Now I'm just gonna pop it back in. So put it in at an angle and just kind of work your fingers around. It'll sit exactly where it's supposed to sit in place. So here I have a bowl that looks pretty much brand new again. All right, just rinse that out one more time, and then we can put that to the side. And now I'm just gonna clean the lid. Same thing, just sponge soap. Clean the lid really well. Rinse off the lid. And the lid's done. Lid's the easiest part. When you buy the XKAH, it comes with 2 bowls. If you use my code MOA, you get 2 extra bowls for free. So you're probably gonna have like 4 bowls, and you're gonna wanna make sure your 4 bowls are pretty fresh or pretty clean, because if you leave excess molasses buildup and drying and charred in your bowl, it's gonna affect your session, it's gonna affect the flavor, it's gonna affect the longevity, and it's just not gonna be as enjoyable as if you use it cleaned. Now let's get into the advanced cleaning. I just want to note, the advanced cleaning is not something you have to do every single time. It is only something that you have to do once in a while. And when I say once in a while, I mean like if you use it 2 or 3 times a day, you might have to do it every 4 or 5 days. And basically what that entails is removing the silicone that is here. Like, this is silicone right here, it's removable. And then the silicone that's here, that's removable too. So a lot of people don't know that, and a lot of people don't know how to do it properly. Notice that everything goes in a specific way. Follow it the way that I'm doing in the video. It makes sense once you actually start getting into it. Everything fits a very specific way. All right, so this is the XKAH. You're just gonna open it up and then remove the bottom using the button in the back. You're gonna dump your used bowl in a bowl of water, and then you're just gonna rinse the base. Then you're gonna spray some dish soap. I'm using Dawn Heavy Duty Power Wash, so I just sprayed that in there. And then I just grab a regular dish sponge, wring it, and then actually just clean the base. So as you can see here, I'm just cleaning the base with the sponge and soap. And this is what you should normally be doing anyways with the base. Make sure that you clean it up, make sure that the silicone doesn't have molasses on it, rinse it clean, and then wring it. And then here's the part that not a lot of people know how to do. So here I'm going to show you how to remove the silicone from the base. So there's 2 little teeth at the top there, for lack of a better term. You're going to remove those or get those loose, and then you're just going to work your finger between the silicone and the base to get that silicone loose. And then as you can see here, I'm just outlining it with my finger. Then when you get to the front, you're going to push the button down so that you can actually release the silicone in the front. And then you're just gonna pop it up. It's basically just like a cup. So just pull, and as you can see here, you have to push the button and then get a good grip, get it completely loose. And then once it's completely loose, you're just gonna pull up, and that silicone is just gonna come right off, or right up. There it is. So now it's removed. Now I'm going to rinse the silicone. I'm going to rinse the part that's underneath the silicone in the base, and just grab a dish sponge again and clean out the base without the silicone in it. This gets any dried molasses or any like lingering whatever that's under the silicone out. Then you're going to grab the silicone cup. You're going to clean it again. You're going to clean the bottom this time, which you couldn't get to before. Just again, dish soap and a dish sponge, and then rinse it clean. And then you can actually just put this to the side for now. Now you're gonna grab a paper towel, it's dry, and I'm just going to clean up any wet molasses that's around the blade. My blade's pretty clean because I clean my XKAH regularly, but even if your XKAH is disgusting, you should do this step. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab a poker and we're gonna get the silicone off of the top of the XKAH. So here you work the sides of the silicone until you can get it off like this. You're just gonna pull straight up. This is a lot easier to get off. Forget the silicone for now. So this is what your XKAH looks like without the silicone. You're gonna grab that dry paper towel and again, just kind of dry up any molasses that's there. This is really where molasses gathers under the silicone. So like take your time with this if you need to. As I said, mine's pretty clean already, so it's not going to be as intensive as if you're doing it for the first time. So here I'm just using the paper towel, getting in all of the nooks and crannies and trying to make sure that it's dry. There's no molasses there. Now I'm actually going to clean the silicone ring. So I'm just rinsing it with water, and now I'm using a sponge and dish soap to clean that silicone. And then I'm just going to rinse it after I'm done cleaning it. All right, fully rinsed and looks good. Kept its shape, and now I'm just putting it to the side. Now I'm gonna grab that brush, and I'm gonna make sure the brush is dry because we use this brush while it was wet. Do not use it while it's wet to clean the blade. Dry completely. And here, if your blade is disgusting, if you have a bunch of baked on like molasses, just brush it with the steel brush. Like I said, the link for the stuff that I'm using is gonna be in the description, but you can use any good metal brush. And here I'm just cleaning around the blade and then cleaning on the surface layer of the blade just gently. You don't have to kill it or anything like that. Just scrub, pretend you're brushing your teeth, but you're doing with the blade instead. So here I'm just going around in circles to make sure that there's no molasses that's baked on. And as you can see, it's getting nice and clean. Now the next step, what we're gonna do is really gonna clean it. And here we're just gonna grab the alcohol. Here I'm using 99%. And I'm gonna grab a long Q-tip and I'm just gonna dip that Q-tip into the alcohol. And then I am just basically going to clean the areas that I just scrubbed. So I'm going around the blade in a circular motion, clockwise, counterclockwise, doesn't really matter. Really what you're trying to do is get all of the molasses that you just brushed off. And as you can see on the Q-tip, there's a lot coming off even though the blade looks clean. So again, if you haven't done this before, yours is going to look a lot dirtier than this. And feel free to repeat this as many times as you want with as many Q-tips and alcohol as you want. Once I'm done, I'm going to grab the paper towel and I'm just going to wipe it down again. And that's how you end up with a blade that looks good as new. Look at it shine. All right. Next step, this is if the silicone is off. Same thing, Q-tip, alcohol, clean off the blade, clean the area that was under the silicone, and then go around the blade. Again, this is if you have the silicone removed. So the previous one was if the silicone was still there. This one is if there's no silicone. And I'm just using the Q-tip to get into all of the nooks and crannies with alcohol and really making sure that it's clean. And as you can see on the Q-tip, stuff is coming off and it's looking cleaner about the second. All right, now it looks pretty clean. What we're gonna do is we're gonna grab that silicone ring. We're gonna dry it. Here I'm using a microfiber towel. You can use a paper towel if you want. You can just wait for it to air dry if you want. Point is, it needs to be dry. Make sure that there's no liquid around it. Make sure that there's no like water or anything like that. The silicone should not be wet before you reinstall it. So now that the silicone is dry, I'm gonna grab the bottom piece, the silicone from the base of the XKAH, and I'm actually just gonna do the same thing here. I'm just gonna dry it, make sure that's good to go. So here, just drying it fully, making sure it's completely dry. Then I'm going to grab the base without the silicone in it. I'm just gonna kind of just like shake out any excess water and then again, dry it with the microfiber towel. Now I'm gonna put the silicone into the base. To do that, basically what you need to do is you need to align it, make sure it's sitting the way that's supposed to be sitting. The first step here is you're gonna line up the teeth. You can see those right there. And basically the teeth need to go into little grooves. Both of them need to go in. Once those are in, it's pretty easy. You just have to line it up and push down and make sure that you're tucking the silicone into the base of the XKAH. Here I'm just going around, pushing all that in, and we're gonna push that button one more time. So here, once all that's done, It looks good. I'm gonna push the button and then push the last part of the silicone in, and now it's sitting flush and it's ready to go. I'm OCD, so I'm just gonna dry it one more time. All right, now we're gonna grab the top of the XKAH and we're just gonna make sure this is completely dry after we cleaned it with alcohol. So here, just a dry, clean paper towel, just running the paper towel over it. All right, that looks good. Now we're gonna grab that silicone ring. We're gonna make sure the silicone ring is completely dry. Here I'm showing me drying it with a paper towel. And then grab the ring, line up the ring, start at the top here. Make sure that that hole is lined up with the little metal prong. That little metal prong is actually a heat sensor. So you wanna make sure that that's fully visible and that you're not covering it up, that it's sitting flush. And then you're kind of just gonna work the silicone around. You can use your finger, make sure that it's sitting completely flush, completely straight. If you need to use a tool, here I'm just using the back of the poker. You can use the back of a spoon, whatever you want to use, but point is you just got to make sure that the silicone is sitting flush. So here I'm just taking my time with it, making sure that that is completely straight, pushing it down, making sure that there's no bumps or any unevenness, because again, you want this to sit completely flush where it's supposed to go. If you're going to remove it, you have to put it back the way that it was before, because you want your XKAH to continue to work the way that it did before. So here, like I said, I'm taking my time with it. I'm making sure that it's completely down. And that's pretty much it. Like, now that it's in there, we're good to go, and your XKAH is ready to use again. It's super easy to do once you actually get the hang of it. And it's pretty much the same as making sure your HMD stays clean. Because think about it like this. If you have an HMD and you have tobacco baked on and it's charred on the bottom of the HMD, when you use it, it's not going to work as well as it's supposed to. Same idea here, except here, it's also going to deter the heat. So your XKAH might not get as hot as it used to get. Your sessions might not taste as clean as they used to taste. And a lot of the XKAHs that I see people saying, oh, this isn't working right, or oh, it's not as good as it used to be, I asked them to send me a picture of their blade, and 9 times out of 10, their blade is like charred. Make sure your XKAH stays clean, and then that way you can actually enjoy your sessions, because the whole idea is you were supposed to get clean sessions where you are tasting nothing but the flavor. You 1000% should not be tasting anything charred. 1000% should be getting consistent heat, and you should be enjoying your sessions. So that's pretty much it for the cleaning video. Like I said, it's simple. Once you get the hang of it, it'll just become second nature to you. It's just a new thing that you have to learn, just like you have to learn how to clean your HMDs, which some people still don't know how to clean their HMDs. So I guess you have a leg up here. Now, without further ado, send this to a friend that has an XKAH and is having issues, and I'll see you guys on the next one.